Hello everyone, Namaste, welcome to my channel Hare Krishna. సో ఎవ్రీ ఫ్రైడే ఈవినింగ్ నేను ఏం చేస్తానో మీకు తెలుసా? ఇవాళ ఏం చేస్తానో నేను మీకు ఇప్పుడే చెప్తున్నాను. సో ఎవ్రీ ఫ్రైడే ఈవినింగ్ నేను భగవద్గీత చాంటింగ్కి వెళ్తాను. లైక్ డిపెండ్స్ ఆన్ టైం, బట్ మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫ్రైడే ఈవినింగ్స్ నేను వెళ్తాను. సో భగవద్గీత చాంటింగ్లో మనం ఏం చేస్తాము, ఏంటి అది ఇది అని అనుకుంటున్నారా? నో, నేను భగవద్గీత చాంటింగ్ ఎందుకు వెళ్తున్నాను అంటే, ఈ మెటీరియలిస్టిక్ వరల్డ్లో మనం సిచ్యువేషన్స్ని ఎలా డీల్ చేయాలో మన భగవద్గీతలో చాలా ఆన్సర్స్ ఉన్నాయి. సో ఆ ఆన్సర్స్ని వెతుక్కుంటూ నేను కూడా వెళ్తున్నాను. ఈ జర్నీని ఇవాళ ఒక్కరోజు వాటికి నేను మీతో షేర్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. సో లెట్స్ గో, లెట్స్ dig into the video and we will see. Thank you.
Oh, I did not even see you. Come here, both of you.
That's why they're sitting back. No, kids has to sit back.
Yeah, you have to come close. We follow sometimes for our own sense gratification. Sometimes we follow because somebody told us to do so. Right? Sometimes we just follow because we are afraid. Let us do these good things. Maybe we'll hang on to something so that I can do everything else
We
here.
all grew up with our moms saying,
Exactly.
if you don't do it, God will come
Yeah.
poke your eyes.
The spirituality on the other side, the start of it is this, that I really want to understand what is the purpose of my life really. And why am I doing certain things? You're asking very, very fundamental question. Even you're questioning the religious principles for that matter. Why should I follow this? What is the purpose of this? Why should I do these fasting? What is the purpose of this? When we start asking those questions, fundamental question, forget who is Lord Shiva, or who is Mother Parvati, or who is Krishna, not even going there, or who is Jesus Christ. Just why should I do this? What is the purpose? Something is not making sense. I want to know more. That is the start of the spirituality. And Bhagavad Gita actually nowhere talks about the ritualistic principles actually, in a way that okay, one should follow this. It does talk about, in a sense, that what is the purpose of it, and how it actually says that people who follow that, they are foolish, very clearly. And we will go through that in chapter 9, that you follow some of the ritualistic principles without knowledge. Those people who follow it, they are mulaha. Mulaha means murkh. Murkh means foolish. Right? And so the start of the Bhagavad Gita is based on the fundamental that I am not this body, I am the soul. And if I am the soul, I have to understand why I am in this body, what is the purpose of the body, and then everything else that I do in this world, whether I am student, whether I am working somewhere, whether I am cooking, whatever I am doing, there is a purpose to it, or I am doing purposeless. So simply I say that is the life just working, paying taxes, paying mortgages, and get old and die? It can't be that. And so when we start inquiring some of those things fundamentally, that takes us to the spirituality. And the religious principles are important in a sense that some of those ritualistic principles I'm talking about mainly, they actually, it's like you in your class of students, the certain students, you tell them, if you do this, this will happen, don't do this because I said so, and they're little afraid, so they won't do some of those things. Some say, I want to understand what is the consequences of this. So following through the understanding, kind of a ritualistic type thing, and just doing it because somebody says so, I can get into trouble, let me not do this so that I can do rest of the things very easily, it's kind of those ritualistic principles that allows us to make progress. cooking science. He knows everything. And he's the one who then comes and as an introduction, what he does is, as Shantanu, the father, was on the banks of the river Ganga, with his arrows, he stops the flow of water. Can you imagine? To stop the flow of water with the arrows, what do you have to do? You have to build a dam. And dam has to be that no space, not even a teeny tiny air can pass through it with the arrows. So he was so good that he was able to build that dam right away. And that king was surprised that who is this kid? That was, what was his name? Deva Brat, Bhishma. Bhishma name came later. Why did Bhishma name came? Is because he took a vow at that time which was very, very difficult for anybody to take, that, one is he's not going to get married, and one is that he's not going to become king. First vow. And he said he's not going to get married. Why? Because his father Shantanu later married another wife, and the wife had a condition that I will only marry you if you make my son the king. And if Bhishma is there, either he will become king or his son will become king. I know it's getting a little complicated for you to follow, but understand that he took a vow, something that was unheard of at that time by Kshatriya, especially, who is a warrior or administrator. They are supposed to rule the kingdom and they are supposed to do certain things, and he said, I will not do anything. Why? For the sake of mother and father, so that father is happy. That was the whole purpose. But it was again orchestrated by Krishna. So now fast forward to the question. What is happening? He knew that bad things are happening in the kingdom of Duryodhana. He was positioned on the side of Duryodhana by this design, and now Krishna comes in the picture. Now this war is happening and he's fighting on the bad side. Right? Why is he fighting? Srimad Bhagavatam explains this. Is another beautiful text beyond Bhagavad Gita that explains that Bhishma is one of the 12 Mahajan. Now, who is a Mahajan? Anybody knows Mahajan? I have another picture here. Can you bring that 12 Mahajan and take the picture and show it here? So there are 12 Mahajans described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhishma there is one of the Mahajan. Mahajan means really one who knows the full knowledge and who is the great devotee of Krishna. The 12 Mahajans she's going to show you there. It is described in Bhagavatam. It is Brahmaji. It is, do you remember 12 Mahajans? Janak is there, who is also described by name as Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, here are the names. Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, Sukadev Goswami, Prahlad Maharaj. You remember we did the holy thing, the Prahlad, that day, that festival? That Prahlad Maharaj, can you make it a little bit smaller? Narada Muni, have you heard the name Narada? He is one of the Mahajan. Janak, Raja Janak, Sita's dad. Ram Sita, have you heard? Sita's dad, he was Mahajan. Then 4 Kumaras, you might not know, we'll talk about it. Kapila Muni, he is one of the famous sage. Manu, he is also one of the famous sage. Bhishma Dev. Can you imagine with all these people, suddenly Bhishma comes. He is a Mahajan. Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is also a beautiful story, we'll talk about it. And Yamaraj. Everybody knows who is Yamaraj?
Yes.
He is the
God of death.
Custodian of, demigod of the act of death.
Act of death.
Act of death, right? And he's one of the Mahajan. People are afraid of him. Actually, he is the great devotee of Krishna. Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna. So he is a great devotee of Krishna himself. Very interesting. So imagine who is sitting in between all of these great personalities. Bhishma Dev. So he can't be an ordinary person, right? That means he has full knowledge. Yet he is fighting on the side of Kauravas. And at that time, he is the most powerful person on the planet Earth. There was no one who was more powerful than Bhishma. Why? First is he's the best archer. Second is he cannot be killed. Imagine, you can't be killed and you are the best warrior. What is that thing called? Where the different warriors come in that movie?
What?
No, not Disney, the other one. There are 7, 8 different warriors. They have different weapons.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
Marvel?
Marvels, yes, thank you. You have seen Marvels? The different people with different type of weapon. This was the most powerful that nobody could kill. And so, with that kind of person, if he's on the bad people's side, what will happen? The bad people will never lose, right? But why is on the bad side? He's on the bad side. It explains in Srimad Bhagavatam that it is giving a lesson to us that you can be the most powerful person in the entire world, either with money or power or whatever way. But if you are not on the side of the dharma, that is coming the point of dharma, then you are going to lose ultimately. You are going to be destroyed. And he agreed to be that person to prove the point in Bhagavad Gita for Krishna and Mahabharata war, that to prove point that Krishna has come and he is devotee of Krishna, that to prove that Krishna, whatever he is saying, is the Supreme Personality and he is on the righteous side, and I being the most powerful person, I am going to be on this wrong side and I will be destroyed. Which will prove the point that you have to be on the side of righteousness. And he played that role because he was the devotee of Krishna, and Krishna said, you do this. Imagine in the history, he's only known as how bad he was, and Draupadi was disrobed in front of him, and he's on the side of the bad people, and he did not stop the gamble, game of dice. All that happened in front of him, and yet he did not stop. If he wanted to stop, he could stop the war. But he needed to prove a point for all of us that make sure you can be the most powerful people on the planet Earth, but that power comes with a lot of responsibility. You will be destroyed if you do not play along correctly,
Dharma.
according to the dharma. And he agreed to play the role and take the curse of all the people who would just say in history that what kind of personality he was, because he wanted to follow the instruction of Krishna. Krishna said, you do this. He said, I will be happy if it pleases you. That is called Bhakti Yoga. It's very hard to understand that he is actually shooting the arrows in the war towards Krishna. And Krishna is actually, remember that scene? I don't have the picture here. It is there behind it. But Krishna, before the war, promised that he is not going to pick up the weapon in this war. That's the promise he made. And so he gave a choice to Duryodhana and Arjuna to pick either Krishna or his army. So Krishna said, I'm not going to pick any weapon. That is my promise. And the other side is my army. Duryodhana was very happy to take army. And Arjuna said, I want you, even if you don't pick up the weapon. But what happened at that time when Bhishma was throwing arrows and he was killing thousands of people with his arrows, he ran out of his chariot. He said, I'm going to kill him and I'm going to pick up the weapon. And he picked up the broken chariot wheel to kill Bhishma as a chakra. And Bhishma was very happy to see that. You know why? Because Bhishma took a vow in love to Krishna that I am going to make you break your vow. Because I have so much of love with you, I will do something that will make you break your vow. And Krishna did not need to break the vow actually. He could have killed, if he wanted to kill Bhishma, he will just kill it by thought itself. But only to please Bhishma, because he made a vow, he broke his vow. You following? Lord himself breaks his vow to please his devotees. And Bhishma is the devotee of Krishna, and all of his life he is taking curse only to please Krishna. This one act, Krishna said, I'm going to please you, I'm going to break my vow. People will say that Lord himself broke his vow. Why did he do that? It is only to, he did not actually kill with that thing here. But he broke his vow, he took the weapon, and now people say that even God broke his vow to please devotee actually. That was the beautiful relationship between Bhishma and Krishna. And that is why all this activity. Hare Krishna. This whole thing that we did today is part of what we call Bhakti Vraksha, and we meet as families every week and we discuss the topics from Bhagavad Gita and also discuss the relevance in today's our life. Whether it is a student or a homemaker or a professional, we try to find the message based on explained by our acharyas. So we will see you next week. We are going to continue chapter 1 and we'll go up to chapter 18 slowly. Every week we are going to do that discussion. Thank you.